Hey, everybody. Welcome to the Empowering Freedom podcast. I'm your host, Jessica Motter, and I'm here today with Brianna. And I'm so excited for her to share her story. And Brianna, do you want to maybe just tell the listeners who you are, where you're from, just all about you? Just share your story with us.
Okay. Brianna, I am mid-30s. I am currently working in HR with a passion for editing, specifically audio editing, do a little bit of video editing, and I am just trying to figure life out, to be honest with you right now. Yeah.
Trying to figure life out. Okay.
Yeah.
So what are some of the things that you've done? Some of the projects that you like working on? Tell us about those.
Yeah. So actually, one of the things I'm most proud of is that during COVID, I got the opportunity to do a mentorship with Gimlet Media, which is a subsidiary podcast company of Spotify. They had put out some sort of like feeler for this program, and I got the opportunity. I applied out of the blue thinking I was actually going to be a mentor. And I was like, oh, this is going to be interesting. And ended up getting mentorship or, yeah, getting
Yeah.
mentorship from other people who are actually professionals in the business. Like this is their 9 to 5 career. I worked with them for probably about 3 months, got an opportunity to meet not only my mentor, but some sound people, some talent agents, and different people within Spotify. And it was also an opportunity to meet other mentees. So I met 3 other girls who live all across the North American continent, and we've been friends ever since. So that was one of my proudest moments getting in that program. From that program, I created a idea for a mental health podcast, just really focusing on mental health in the Black community specifically.
Mhm.
Just knowing that Black people have a tendency of downplaying mental health and not being interested in getting therapy. It was always something that I found was outside of our community, really.
Mhm.
So focusing on that, that project unfortunately is on pause right now, but one of the other projects that I worked on that I was really excited about was a podcast called Can We Talk, which was focused on friends or people in my life who were doing amazing things and just shining the light on them for a little bit.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
Sounds like you did two great projects there. That's
Yeah,
amazing.
they're great ideas. One of them is an actual like tangible project that's out there. The other one is kind of it has been started, but it's a slow progress. That one's a slow burn.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So for you, obviously, like not just one, but two podcasts.
Yeah.
I'm like, I'm doing good to do one. My goodness, like, look at you. You're like the overachiever. I love it, and I love. Congratulations on that mentorship program. That's amazing.
Thank you.
That's awesome. But yeah, like you're like, okay, so two. It sounds like you're very creative, though. You have great ideas.
Yeah, I have ideas. I think usually they tend to be pretty good. But I think the thing that I'm working on is trying to not be so disappointed when something doesn't pan out the way that you expect it to. Because I think all projects or all ideas, even if you start them and you find that it might not be the best thing at this time, they can be revisited. They also aren't necessarily failures.
Mm.
Um, they might be there to teach you a lesson or teach you how to pivot. So yeah, I I like to say that I have good ideas, but some of them sometimes they have to go back on the shelf for a later
Yeah,
date.
Yeah, absolutely. It's so
Yeah.
interesting that you're talking about that right now because I have a big pivot right now, like literally
Okay.
this week. I have a network marketing company that I partnered with, and there's a big
Yeah.
pivot there.
Oh yeah.
And it's going to be really good.
Yeah.
But it's like not necessarily like super public yet. So I am like searching for people to be on my team.
Hmm.
But it's also like on social media, because I do so much on social media, I'm not putting things out. I'm putting like curiosity stuff out there.
Hmm.
Right. Um, and so I'm like, but when you say that pivot, when you say that, like, it's not a failure because the company's doing well. It's not even that. Like, we've been in a pandemic. Like,
Yeah.
we can all feel that, right?
Yeah.
From everything possible. And now, like, all the high prices and everything. And like we were talking about right before we got on here, live, that, just the people having to work side jobs
Hmm.
to provide
Yeah.
and, just relieve some of that pressure. And it's so real. It's so real for sure. Um, so what do you feel like are your biggest like gifts? Like whether you call it spiritual gifts or your gifts, like what do you feel like and I know this is so hard for most people because we don't really like to, people say, oh, I don't like to toot my own horn.
Hmm.
But what are the things that like you don't have to work at and you just do and other people like have to like hire people to do?
Um, so I'll give you one personal and one professional. Um, I think with editing, and this obviously is not to toot my own horn, editing is
Yeah.
something that I kind of sort of like fell into. It wasn't even something that I necessarily like realized how much I loved. My mom was an NPR parent. Like I listened to NPR and books on tape and all of those things when I was a kid. And I always enjoyed hearing other people's stories, no matter what it was that I was doing. Um, I spent a lot of time when the internet was starting to get big on researching people and finding people's stories and just enjoying observing that. Um, and then when I was in high school, I was doing a different medium of people's stories. I was doing stage and acting and all of that. And performance was my thing at one point. And I kind of tried to put myself into a box, get a regular 9 to 5 career. And then, of course, all of this creative energy about like people and their stories and all that stuff started bubbling. So during the pandemic, I think a lot of people had pandemic projects. My
Mm-hmm.
pandemic project was learning how to edit. It wasn't something that someone like gave to me. It was just, I want to figure this out. I want to understand this. I want to learn it. And I just dove into it. And I think it's like one of the most amazing things to be inspired by as a kid by something that was just like most people wouldn't even look at it like, oh, yeah, my parents listened to NPR, but NPR was a big part of my childhood. And no realizing that it's going through weaving itself through all the way up into this point of my life where I really like enjoy storytelling as a medium. um
Mm-hmm.
I think that's one of my god-given gifts, to be a part of a story, or a part of telling a story.
Mm-hmm.
um Personal, um I think I'm an athlete. I've played sports all of my life, and something that I've never had to try at is playing softball. Like I just kind of I was born to two parents who played sports. I started playing and I've been playing ever since. I think there's probably been maybe a year where I've taken off sports, but
Mm-hmm.
other than that, I am always like always playing, and I've never had to really work at it. Just kind of
Mm-hmm.
hop from sport to sport to sport, and I'm usually pretty good.
Yeah. So what are some of the sports besides softball?
I play flag football.
Really? That's
Yeah,
awesome.
yeah. That
Cool.
is my other sport. I played basketball. Basketball is probably on the lower end of what I'm good at, but like flag football and softball are my bread and butter.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's so cool. We went today, my daughters are 6 and 4, and we went
Uh-huh.
today to a women's basketball game for a
Oh,
local college. We have this pass in our community. It's like you get, like free tickets to the game or whatever. So we went, my 4-year-old played basketball this year in like the
Uh-huh.
YMCA league. So
They enjoy it.
they did. Yeah. Yeah. They enjoyed like all of it, like from the girls playing the basketball to like, they were watching it too. Like
Oh
they
wow.
were intrigued by it. So I play volleyball. So I'm sure that's going to be part of, like at
Yeah.
least introducing them to it. They want to go
Yeah.
to games. I play on a league on Monday nights. So
Oh,
their
okay.
bedtime is a little bit, I would rather get them to bed and be ready for school the next day than to have them go with me to volleyball. So,
Yeah.
but they enjoy it. I actually host a charity volleyball tournament every year. So
Oh, okay.
yeah, that's how much I love volleyball.
I I wish I
Yeah.
would have gotten into playing volleyball. Like I play it outside or at the beach, but I've never
Mhm.
gotten, I don't know why it didn't come across my plate until it was like, oh gosh, they're really good. Like I would see people
Yeah.
and I'd be like, yeah, I don't think I want to challenge you. I'm okay.
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm tall. I'm 6 foot tall. So that was
Okay.
like that
Yep.
basketball and volleyball would have been the right way to go.
Yeah, I'm 5'3", so I
A
think
little
I'm on the other
different.
end of that.
Yeah. Well, it's good that you're athletic though, for sure. Cause I feel like what I do and as an entrepreneur, like you're driven and that honestly goes over to like business
Yeah,
and goes over to work because there's something about those principles that you learned as an athlete that transfer over. And I feel like we're a little
yeah,
more motivated. Like I hate to say it,
yeah.
but like we're just a different breed. Like, I mean, people will be
I
like, I
do
don't
see
see how
that.
you do what you do. And I'm like, because I was an athlete. Like this is like, I actually am talking at that conference about championship mindset, but like having like the mindset of like an athlete, like it's the
Mhm.
championship mindset. So anyway, yeah, that's part of it. I'm like,
No, that is so relatable because a lot of the people that I know who were athletes have either businesses or have had these careers where they're careers where you would think that someone carved it out exactly for them and they've carved it out for themselves. They've done all of the work and they've done like they're just awesome people that I've that I've been able to
yeah,
witness grow up, I guess.
yes, yes, so true, so true. So you do like to play sports. What are some other things you like to do for fun?
Um, Listen to podcasts. I am a avid podcast listener. I think I'm like a regular person. I watch Netflix, um, watch my I guess I'm watching You right now. Yeah, that came back out. Um, what else do I do? Pretty much that's it. I like to bake. That's the other thing
Like,
I like to do. Yeah. Um, I'm currently thinking of, I don't know if you've seen on TikTok. I don't know if you're on TikTok or not, but there's the cakes that people are doing, the heart-shaped cakes with all of the little frills and lace
oh,
details and all this stuff. I kind of want to do that, but I really would prefer not to have a full cake at my house right now. So I've kind of been pushing it off. I'm like, maybe I'll wait until people are supposed to come to town or something to try that.
right,
But yeah,
yeah.
that's pretty much it. I'm
I
really work home trying to do a side hustle and that's about it.
yeah, yeah. One of my friends, her husband actually bakes for his business.
Mm.
So I need to tell her about that TikTok because maybe she needs to have him do that.
Yeah, I mean it's definitely it's the trend right now. But there are so many baking things that you can find on TikTok that are just, oh my gosh, amazing, or little tips and things like that. So tell
Yeah,
them to check out.
yeah, for sure, for sure. Let's see. Is there anything else you want to share with listeners? You mentioned mental health. You mentioned, hearing people's stories. There's a really good book. I know we were talking about a book before this, Purpose
Yeah.
Driven Life. There's another book by Kendra Hall,
Okay. I'm gonna get my
and
notebook.
yeah, and I can send this to you too.
Okay.
Uh, she spoke at one of our conferences we had. She was amazing. But she helps people tell their stories.
Hmm.
And she talks about people like connect with you differently. Like if you're in sales, if you have a business, if you're in marketing, people connect with you differently when they hear your story. You're connecting at that heart level
Yeah.
versus like oh, well, I can edit in 3 minutes, you know, like,
Yeah.
right? Like it's
Yeah.
just different. Same thing
Yeah.
with an author, like, well, tell me a little bit about, you know, like your story is just different, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's a good one too.
Yeah. I mean, I think the most important thing that people can do is try to get in touch with what it is that they truly like, their childhood, the thing that makes their inner child happy.
Mhm.
Um, I think that's one of the things that's helped me in still like having the stream of editing in the back of my mind.
Mhm.
Um, it does make its way to the front every once in a while, but having that this thing that makes my child happy or the inner child happy, um, I'll never give up on that.
Mhm.
Um, and if you find it that you don't have one, spending the time with yourself to get to know yourself again, I think a lot of well, we had this time where the whole entire world kind of sort of was forced to sit down and be. And if you missed it, it's okay. Like, but you're going to have to do the personal work. But like, that was time to sit with yourself, figure out what it is that you weren't happy about, you needed to fix, you needed to work through. Um, and you can still do that, just spending the time by yourself every day to just get in touch with who you are, or who you were as a child, things that you miss about yourself. Um, Doing those things that just bring a smile to your face. I know I find myself every once in a while walking around and I just start laughing about something that happened. And it's like laughing out loud, and people are probably like, I'm really weird, but it's just something that made my soul happy. And, you know,
Mhm.
letting that shine through and not muting it just because other people might think I'm weird. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I know,
yeah.
right? Like you're like,
Yeah.
whatever. This makes me
And
happy. I'm good for it.
yeah, I think especially with getting older, I'm in my mid 30s, and with me getting older, I'm realizing how much there is a challenge every day to not shrink myself for other people,
Mhm.
and just be myself. And when things make me upset, acknowledging something makes me upset and figuring out why it makes me upset and moving forward past it, not holding on to it and dragging it along. So,
Yeah,
yeah,
that's a good lesson, and I'm glad you're
yeah.
learning that now because I feel like in my 40s, I'm still doing some of the stuff that I'm like, "My gosh, like, why am I" right? Like, but I've been learning because when I was a kid, like, it was like, you know, kids are seen, not heard.
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
You know, some of the things, right? Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I'm reliving some of these things now that my daughters are 4 and 6, right? And so
Mhm,
I'm seeing some of these things. I'm like, I sound like some people I know.
mhm.
And I'm like, wait a second, hold on. And I'm like, okay, what can we change here? What can we say? What can we do? And there was a school shooting at one of our high schools.
Mhm.
Luckily, like the it was just really, yeah,
Yeah,
just the officer was hurt, not a bunch of kids, like it was bad the
okay.
officer was hurt, but
Yeah,
like it
but
wasn't,
it was
you know,
yeah.
yeah, it was contained pretty fast. And so now they have counselors in this, which they needed.
Mhm.
Now with the pandemic and everything, they have counselors going in the classrooms like once a week, which is so good.
Yeah,
But then it's also helping my daughter. Um, so now we have this little magnet on the refrigerator that says like all these, these smiley faces with different feelings.
mhm.
And so we're talking about our feelings, which is good because I'm like, I need to recognize this stuff in me
Yep,
because I was just like shoving down all these feelings and
yeah,
not telling anybody I was mad, not telling anybody I was upset, but then being mad at them, holding on to it. And then it would
yep,
just like fester, 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 fester. And then I was like wondering I was blowing up and then blowing up the wrong people,
yeah.
all these
I mean,
things, right?
yeah, it's crazy. I have nieces that are around the same age as your girls, and having it is so, as an adult, looking back at things that happened to me, understanding how they shaped me, and understanding the difficulty that I have in certain things. So I have a really hard time of standing up for myself. And it can be, it could be something I know I'm totally right about, but if a person has authority over me, then I'm just like, I can't, I don't know how exactly to approach that. But had I felt probably if I, when I was a kid, had I felt like I had more of a voice, I probably wouldn't be in that situation that I'm in now. And
Yeah.
teaching my nieces to be able to have a voice when they are upset or when they like, it's just their mother is great, by the way. Their mother is great
Yeah.
at that.
Yeah.
She's actually a psychiatrist or psychologist. So she's there to help guide
Oh,
them.
wow.
And
Yeah.
it's
That's
just,
great.
and it's just so interesting, especially like me making sure that I don't approach them in a certain way so that they are able to be these healthy, well-rounded adults when they get older. And me and her just had a conversation last night about how stressful it can be, um, with trying to make sure that you're teaching them
Yeah.
the right things.
Yeah.
So
It's
I
hard.
get it. I mean, I think all of it is a lifelong process. Like I would like to say that I would like to be this person that is eloquently able to tell people off at some point. It may not be, it may not be today, it may not
Right.
be tomorrow, but I was actually told by someone that it's going to be something that you're going to have to practice doing. You're going to have to
Hmm.
practice standing up for yourself on a regular basis. And you may stutter through it, you may stumble through it, but every time you do it, whether it works out or not, it is a step in the right direction. And maybe one day you will be able to eloquently
Yeah.
tell someone off.
Yeah.
And yeah, and
It's
walk away
interesting
from
because,
it not thinking about anything else you should have said.
right. I know. I feel like my husband probably gets the brunt of most of it because I'm like practicing that more. Right.
Mhm.
But he gets,
Yeah.
he gets most of those conversations.
Yeah. But
And
I mean, you
today he
gotta
was
do it.
like, I'm not arguing with you. I was asking a question. And I'm like, oh yeah. Okay. Well, I'm, like, see, because I'm using my voice more and I'm not like,
Yeah.
oh, this is the way it is, like super like timid,
Yeah.
barely, not because I would, just kind of mumble things to people
Mhm.
because I wasn't comfortable with using my voice. And now that I'm
Yeah.
using my voice, people are like, I'm not, are you mad? Like,
No, I'm just using
not,
my voice.
yeah, I'm like
I am,
telling
yeah.
you how I feel and
Yeah.
what I've done and the whole, scenario.
Yeah.
Anyway, so yeah, it's fun. But until you said that, I hadn't really realized like, oh, that's because I'm using my voice and I'm trying to use it more instead of just, you know, not saying what I need and,
Yeah.
all of that. So
You'll sit
yeah,
there and fester. I
yeah,
mean, yeah.
yeah, it's not worth it. So yeah. Yes. Well, thank you. I feel like tonight, literally, you don't even know this, but there were so many messages you shared tonight
Oh,
that I needed to hear.
I'm
Literally.
glad. I'm glad.
So I was
I'm
like,
glad we can help each other
oh,
because
I feel like
I,
God is just like using you as a vessel to like tell me these things I need to hear right now at this
well,
time.
it's funny that you say that because half of this conversation is what I had with my best friend yesterday. So it was passed from her to me to you. So
Oh, really? That's cool. You'll have to tell her literally, I don't even know this girl. She's in Kansas City. We had a Zoom tonight and literally I shared the same thing with her. And guess what?
yeah,
She's like, oh, thank you.
yeah.
Right?
Someone
Yeah.
needs, that's the thing with stories. That's another thing with stories is that stories are to inspire other people, to help other people through their stuff. So it may not necessarily be something that you thought of that was a big deal, but it may change someone else's life. So we all should tell. I'm sorry, let me not say that. If you feel inspired to tell your story or share your
Yes.
story, then share your story.
Yeah. And I feel like that's part of why like empowering freedom is so the two words for my purpose,
Mhm.
because in everything I do, that's what I do. So a few years back, I was helping people with trafficking, like being able to speak out about like, okay, this is not a prostitute. This is a prostituted woman. This is like, I mean, all those things before the pandemic, but even more so now. And, you know, why we want to protect our kids and why, you know, certain things on YouTube are not great for them, you know, at these ages. And then going through that, you know, that nonprofit closed down with the pandemic, but then going past that, now it's been more about speaking to people about having time freedom, financial freedom, you know, just all these things and giving back too. Because when you can give back, like that creates another set of freedom too. But then now it's like even more with this freedom of your voice.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this is an interesting one. You know, because I feel like I too have a niece. She's 4 as well. She's mixed. And just what I'm seeing with her and my daughter, because they're like the same height. Yeah. They're like 2 little peas in a pod. Like they are just the cutest. And I'm seeing with Destiny, I'm like, even yesterday we were out, right? And it's like, we have the Super Bowl in Kansas City, right? Yeah. So they have all these fun things at Union Station. So it's to go see all these like Super Bowl signs and fun stuff and take pictures with them and all this stuff, right? And it's like, at the same time, there's like people in line and these 3 little girls just want to go take a picture. So I go take a picture of them. And this lady behind us is like older and grumpier. And she's like, well, was there a line? And I'm like, they're just 3 little cute girls trying to take a picture here. Yeah. Like, we'll be done in 1 second. Yeah. But it's so interesting to see just the dynamics of things. And my mom was saying something the other day, and I'm just like, in a world that we're in, like I want my 4-year-old niece and my 4-year-old daughter to have the same abilities, opportunities, like, because, and, you know, and I've known this type of thing for a long time. And I'm seeing more and more instances where certain things would not be a certain way. Yeah. If we're not someone's color, someone's age, someone's whatever it is. Right. And it's very interesting to me to see, like, because even back when I was in middle school, like even then, like I'm that person that loves everybody, like no matter what, doesn't matter. And I'm seeing, you know, with friends and, you know, my niece and other things, I'm just like, am I that voice? I don't know. But I'm just like continuing to love on people and showing them that they're loved, you know, and we have the ability to help each other. You know, I have this new project we're launching. So I've been part of a company. They're closing down. Not for bad reasons, for good reasons. They're actually opening up a new company, because usually like in network marketing, it's all about when you join the company. Yeah, your growth is based on that, because getting in early is good. Yeah. And so the longer you wait, the less, it's still good, but not as good. So we're opening up, we're starting new, like literally the 20th. Oh, okay. And so it's very new. And so, but there's already like chatter in like the industry, right? And it's interesting to see the people that have been brought in my life this last few days, because they're looking for opportunities to make money. They're looking for opportunities to create financial freedom. They're looking for purpose. They're looking for a community that's supportive. And there's some of these things I take for granted, but I'm like, this is not like this everywhere. That's why when I asked, I was like, how much, you know, like Instacart, like how much are you actually making? Yeah. And, you know, you look at, okay, is the time worth it? You know, one of the ladies shared the other day, like, this is how many hours she spent. This is how much she made. And my daughter goes to kindergarten in the fall, right? So I could do anything. Yeah. I could go back to work in corporate America. I could go do Instacart stuff, you know, all the things, right? Uber, all those things. But I'm like, what is it going to be worth my time? Yeah. I heard a lady one day, she had told me that she made $10 million in 10 years. And I was like, okay, like, I am not going to back to corporate America. I'm going to be doing what I'm doing. And then now here we have this new opportunity, new pivot, like you said,
Mhm.
pivot.
Yeah.
And I'm like, for such a time as this, I am well trained. I know how to train. And, I have a heart for people too. Like not everybody has that.
Yeah.
Um, and at the same time, like you said, your stories, right? People have amazing stories to share with people
Mhm.
and can help a lot of people.
Yeah.
So it's exciting. And with social media, like, I mean, we're talking, you're in Maryland, I'm in Kansas City. Like I'm building a team globally. Like Masuko, who just joined, she's from New York, but she's part Japanese.
Yeah.
And we're open in Japan. And I'm
Yeah.
like, Masuko, like she goes, I'm so excited I met you. And I'm like, I need you right now because I do not speak Japanese. I don't know anybody in Japan, but you do. So I'm just so excited. Like here I have overnight, like international, business starting. It's pretty exciting.
Yeah. That
So it's
sounds
fun.
exciting.
Yeah. And it's fun, like you said, that inner child, that happy, like I love, just meeting new people, talking to new people.
You're being fed.
I'm
Your
being
inner
fed.
child is being
Yes.
fed.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And over the last, 3 years, people have really lost relationships and,
Mhm.
It's
Yeah.
awesome to see people online, but it's also awesome to see them in person. So I'm excited for all of that too, because we're going to have, lots of in-person stuff too. So anyway, is there anything else you want to share with the listeners before we go?
Um, just feed your inner child. That's all. That's
Yes.
all I gotta say.
Yes. Yes. Well, we'll have to connect and I'll get all your information as far as like all your links and stuff like that. And we'll
Okay.
connect on social media and other platforms. And
Yeah.
because like you mentioned TikTok, I'm on TikTok.
Yep.
I'll be looking forward to your heart cake TikTok. When it comes up eventually, I'll be looking for it. Let me know.
Eventually.
Yeah.
I gotta get people to come over and eat this cake because I'm not gonna eat it by myself at all. It can't
Yeah.
happen.
Yeah. Well, maybe you will find like a fun neighbor you can give it to or something.
Yeah. I'm gonna give it to those nieces.
There you
Maybe
go. There you go. They'll be excited. They will be so excited.
Yeah.
Yes. Awesome. It was so great to meet you tonight. And
Oh,
thanks for
nice to meet
joining
you
us.
too.
For all the listeners tonight,
Problems.
check out Brianna. She's amazing. And we're blessed to have her on tonight.